Max is on the line now in London. Good afternoon, Max.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity, for the free legal advice.
Go ahead with your question.
Excellent. I have a bit of a specific kind of scenario here where I'm a journalist, okay? I work for grasshoppermedia.ca, and I've been traveling across Canada quite a bit. Now, I was also featured in a CBC The National article where I was, many of my YouTube videos were posted with regards to some of my questioning of the police officers that pull me over, because I get pulled over on a regular basis for whatever reasons. Now, when I get pulled over, for example, this last weekend, I was pulled over twice within the span of 1 hour. Both times the police officers were simply trying to make sure that I had all of my paperwork in order. Now, when it gets down to this, I want to know on a legal basis, and you mentioned lawful also. I already know that what they're doing is unlawful to me because they're invading my privacy. So on a legal basis, what kind of recourse might I have in order to inhibit the ability to be constantly harassed by these police officers because I am a subject of misunderstanding of theirs? So basically, you know, like, there's no criminal charges whatsoever. I just ask very, very rudimentary questions when the police officers talk to me, so they find me quite perturbing.
So, Max, you feel like you've been red flagged in some way. Do you have advice, James?
Well, it's very hard to prove that you've been red flagged or not. You hear stories of people who have been, and credible stories. Really, you have two options. In theory, you could take some kind of legal action, but the cost would be very significant, and it would be really tough to prove to a court. What you can do, however, is you can basically make a complaint either to the Ontario Civilian Commission on Police Services, which is sort of a province-wide thing, or to the individual police service that you're dealing with. And most of the individual police services have a professional standards investigation unit that you can complain to. Now, a lot of people will say, gosh, you know, you're complaining to the police about the police and nothing will happen. My own experience is that there are some rogue police, there's no question, but in general, they recognize their obligations and they're trying to do the right thing. And if you make a complaint, it will be investigated and quite often has a good result. So my advice would be, particularly if it's a specific police service that's giving you difficulty, to contact, you know, the complaints group there, and it's usually called professional standards.
Some good advice for Max. Donna is on the line now with a question for James. Hi, Donna.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Me ID. Instead, I just did it instead, free of charge. Thank you very much for your lack of cooperation today. So what you just listened to was a call in from me to CBC about what to do under my present circumstances with the police harassing me and pulling me over all the time and not even giving me tickets anymore because they're trying to be so nice. And once they figure out that you know, I put them under oath before to moderate the peace before they protect the policies and such, then most of the time they just let me go because they don't want to give me their name and their number on the actual ticket. So, he gave me two pieces of advice, both of which I would not take at all. First one would be to seek legal recourse for what's happening when you don't have any evidence of it whatsoever, not to mention the evidence would be totally almost near impossible for you to acquire, except through FOI requests and such. Most of the time they can just say that they didn't even have a camera, or they weren't recording, or whatever evidence that you'd try and gather from their aspect you wouldn't be able to access. His second option was to place a complaint, and he even answered his own point there that most of the time you're going to feel like you're not actually getting any justice because it'll be a police committee that's actually investigating the police officer or the event or whatever, what have you, and they don't even have to answer to you in the end. In fact, they're not working for you, they're then working on behalf of the complaint person there who you've contracted with to actually satisfy your complaint. So, option 3, which is, I knew he wasn't going to tell us that, which is to do basically the first and the second, but you're going to do it yourself. Basically, it's called a private administrative process, and all you need to do is write a letter to the CEO of the corporation that this officer or many officers, or if it's a detachment or if it's a larger detachment, maybe you'd send it to the provincial detachment, not for an investigation. You are never making a complaint. You never ever complain. If you complain, then that's when you get service given to you. So you don't really want service, you just want truth. So basically just a simple pen pal letter to the CEO of whatever corporate police service it is that you may or may not be investigating yourself, because you are a corporation. So when you sign your little pen pal letter, whether it be without prejudice, or if you want to use your name, go right ahead, I guess, but then you're evidencing your person, and you can, you know, use your title in order to access the truth, in order to put on paper what you believe to be true without prejudice and with all honor. And should, you know, just like at the bottom of your bill, if you've already paid this bill, by all means, please disregard this notice. But this notice is just to establish whether there was an assault that happened, or whether there was an infringement of rights, or whatever basic wrong that happened. So when a wrong happens, if you can identify the wrong, simply write a letter to their boss and ask them to respond in 7 to 10 commercial working days under full commercial liability. It's not too hard. They'll send you a letter back with under letterhead, and if they don't, then whatever you said after the allotted time is truth. And then all you have to do is just send a default notice, and you could go to a justice of the peace and just basically, here's the story. Here's the story, and the chief of police doesn't disagree with me, because you're not going to get them to agree with you, because they're all protecting themselves and their jobs and whatnot. The only way you can protect yourself is with the truth, and the only way to acquire the truth is with agreement or acquiesced non-response, which is the same as agreeing or accepting to the claim. Everybody be safe, and grasshoppermedia.ca. CBC is not cool. Peace.